Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Wee Blether. My name is Sam Stephen, and if you're watching, hello. If you're listening, I'm waving hello and welcoming you to A Wee Blether. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here: is having a wee blether, a wee chinwag with people in the northeast of Scotland. I am the owner of MakaTots, Aberdeen City and Aberdeenshire, and Yellow Jeans. And I'm going to tell you more about my work and my practice in a couple of weeks' time. But today I wanted to get started and get stuck in straight away with our first episode. And these conversations that are going to be coming up over the next few weeks are with professionals that are working in the early years sector right up here in the northeast of Scotland. So today we're going to be speaking to Emma, who is an early years practitioner from a nursery that I've been working at for nearly a year now with her on a Thursday morning with MakaTots. And Emma shares a little bit about MakaTots and her journey learning Makaton in a nursery setting and the sort of benefits that the children have had from this language acquisition based activity. And I love my Thursday mornings. We have such a good time on a Thursday morning and it's really exciting. So I'm going to hand over to Emma to get us started straight away. Then I'm going to see you next week and give you a little bit more of an introduction into A Wee Blether. But for now, let's head over to Emma. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Emma. How are you?
Not bad. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Thanks for being here. I love my Thursday mornings coming in to Woodlands and hanging out with the kids and all the staff. And it was the first MakaTots nursery that we started doing up in the Northeast. And so I'm very glad that you have us there on a Thursday. Give me a little introduction to you and Woodlands Nursery.
So obviously my name is Emma. I'm an early years practitioner. So I'm a room lead of the Hedgehog's room, which is about 1 to 2 year olds in there. And obviously work at Woodlands Nursery. I've been there for just coming up for a year now. And I just love it. The kids are great, the staff are just brilliant, and I think that's pretty much the main thing that you need in a nursery. But yeah, I'm 24 years old, and I just love my job.
How long did you leave school and go straight into studying to become a early years practitioner?
Yeah, so I left school. I did my 6th year and left school, and then I went to college. And I did my level 6 there. But it was quite tough. I don't think school environment was really for me. So college was kind of a bit tough as well. And I thought, do you know what? I don't think I'm going to manage to do my level 7 through college. So I left and I had a part-time job working at a hotel. So they offered me full time. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll do it. I'll come back to childcare eventually. Like it's not something I can just put to the side.
Mhm.
So I worked in the hotel for 5 years. And then I was like, no, you know what? Enough's enough. I'm gonna go and work in a nursery now. So I went to a nursery. I started my qualification there, and then I eventually moved on to Woodlands, which is where I am now.
Yeah, nice. And so you did your training while you were on the job at the nursery, the
Yeah,
first one you were at.
yeah. So I started my qualification there, and then I was kind of about 60% of the way through when I moved to Woodlands. So I finished off there. So yeah, fully qualified now.
You probably had a good, like, a lot of experience coming from like hotel hospitality, managing people into a room with managing kids. What was the big differences that you felt between the two?
Um, oh, that's a good question. I think when you work in a hotel, so you've got your mannerism when you're talking to guests, and then you've got your mannerism when you're talking to staff, and they can vary. They can be totally different. And I think that's where I'm like, I had a good kind of the way I could communicate with staff. I had a good way of doing that, so I think that helped me when going into the nursery because I was able to talk to staff, but I also was able to talk to children. Um, I also did like a work experience when I was at college, so I think that also helped as well. But I worked in like a leisure department at the hotel, so I was quite often involved in like kids' activities, and I think that helped me because they were all like, "Oh, Emma, you love kids, you can run the activities," and I'm like, "Yeah, no worries, no problem." So I think that also gave me a little bit of a help as well, in how I was able to kind of just come across and just be able to jump straight into the role kind of
Yeah,
thing.
you have to be a go-getter as well, especially when you're working with kids. Roll your sleeves up and you just have to go for it. One
Oh,
minute you're
oh yeah,
creating a mess, and then the next minute you're pretending to be a giraffe, and so you have to
yeah,
flip roles very
100%.
quickly.
Like, you have to be on the ball with like what activities you're taking out, and I think that's the thing. Like, I think I used to be a bit like, oh, messy play, like, whew, messy play. But now I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. That's freshly washed clothes, but it's okay. They'll wash for tomorrow. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you have to be. Like, you're going to come out of there. You're going to be covered in slime and gloop and Play-Doh and everything. And I think
Hmm.
that's the best way to be.
Yeah,
You know,
that's the
no
fun of it.
nursery practitioner is going to be clean.
Hmm.
Like, no way.
Yeah. I think more than ever, especially, I've been working in education for like, I don't know, 15 years plus maybe. So, and I think the conversation now more than ever has turned to, children that are neurodivergent or that have communication problems, or there just seems to be a wider conversation about the need that children are having and the nuances of all that.
Yeah.
And sort of bridging into Makaton here, in terms of like communication, did you realize during your training, or did it get to a point where you realized, oh, actually, speech isn't the only thing that we need to use here. We need to build our toolbox of communication. What did that look like or feel like?
So it's funny you say that because when I kind of first started at Woodlands, there was some children who used kind of like signs at home, and they kind of came over to me one day and they were like, they were signing cat, and I was like, what? And but I wasn't aware, and I was like, oh, what are they doing? But I knew that there was obviously a sign there, but I just didn't know what it was because
Mhm.
I wasn't sure. So at that handover, I went and spoke to their mom, and I was like, oh, like, do you know what the sign might mean? I'm a bit confused. And they were like, oh yeah, that's cat. Like, we sign loads at home. And it wasn't, they could speak, they just weren't maybe as confident or so. So mum was like, yeah, we just sign at home as well as talking. And I was like, that's so
Mhm.
cool. Like, these children know more than I do about
Mhm.
signing. That to me was wild. And I was
Yeah,
like,
that's so
that's
interesting.
like, why do I not know this? Like,
Hmm.
I should know some of this stuff.
Hmm.
So after I found that out, I actually went and spoke to Leanne, and I was like, if there is any like MakaTots or like MakaTons or anything like coming up, I'd love to be a part of that because I just think it's so cool that they remember that thing.
Hmm.
Like, you don't expect like maybe 1 to 2 year old to remember so many signs, but it's it blows my mind.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, the pickup speed in early years is really fascinating to watch because, there's children that have been at my classes that were like 4 months old. And then we maybe have the summer holidays, or we have, a couple of weeks in between, and then I come back, then they're crawling, and then they're signing the whole way throughout that process as well. And so the
Yeah,
the evolution of children in those early years is so quick, and it really like stops you and you notice it because it's so
yeah,
fast moving as well.
yeah. Well,
We
that's the
did
thing. Like,
on you
I
go.
think when you first came in, I think I remember the first thing we learned was like transport. So it was like plane, boat,
Mhm.
bicycle, and we were in the garden sometimes, and some of the children, they'll obviously hear the airplanes and they'll look up and they won't even say airplane, they'll just sign it, and I'm
Mhm.
like, that's wild.
Yeah.
Like, that's from the very first MakaTots class we
Hmm.
had, and they're remembering that and they're
Yeah, it's
using
cool.
it so frequently, and I'm like,
Mhm.
this is just amazing. Like,
Mhm.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. So I went into Woodlands, got like 3 years ago, maybe. I did some Makaton training with some of the staff before you were there,
Okay.
and that was long before Makatots was a thing. So I got back in touch with Anna and Leanne and said, Makatots is happening. Do you want us to come? And here we are. What was that sort of first week like for you and like the staff being in a new environment, having a new practitioner come in, introducing something to you and the children?
I think like obviously some of the girls, as you said, like they went on the training. So kind of when we got told like, oh, you got MakaTots on a Thursday, we were like, oh right, okay. And I was kind of like, oh wow, what does this mean? Like, this means I'm going to pick up on little bits, and that's going to be great. I think some of the girls were like, oh yeah, like we know some bits as well, so that's going to be really good. And then we kind of brought it up to the children, and obviously they're still quite little. They don't quite understand. So we were like, we're going to have MakaTots this morning and things like that. And I think they were kind of like, what are we doing? But they sat so well in a circle and they listened so well. I blew my mind. Like they were so engrossed in what was going on. And that for like, for someone new to come into the classroom, to be showing them like things that they had to pick up and they had to maybe show and they had to do with their hands as well. And they actually were just so engrossed with it was amazing to see, because I think sometimes when new people come in, they're like, whoa,
Mhm.
not 100% sure. And they get like the kids that are sad, the kids who don't want to take part, but they all listened and they all took part. And I thought that was just, I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
Mhm.
They're going to love a MakaTots on a Thursday. Like, this is just good.
Yeah.
And I think that was where I was like, well, they're going to listen to this. And I
Mhm.
didn't expect them to pick it up as well as they have,
Mhm.
but they have done so well.
Yeah, they really have.
I just think that shows as well, like, they obviously love it because they're using it and they're picking it up and they go home and use it. And some of the
Mhm.
parents come in, they're like, what's this sign? And we're like,
Mhm.
oh, we know that one, that's airplane. So
Yeah.
I think things like that is just so good because we're able to tell the parents and the kids are also able to do it as well. I just
Yeah.
think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting working in early years as well, because as practitioners, we're meant to like let the children lead and sort of follow the children and go on that adventure with them. So the
Yeah.
interesting thing about MakaTots is it can feel like sit down, we're going to learn stuff. So it's like finding the balance between sit down, watch Sam, we're learning something, as well as giving the children the autonomy to still have the freedom within that space.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, I think now because we've obviously had MakaTots for a wee while now, if we say like, okay, we need to tidy up for MakaTots, the kids start tidying up and they automatically, this is what I think is absolutely hilarious, they go to the tables and they start bringing their chairs over so they know like,
Mhm.
oh, we get in a circle and we learn about MakaTots. And I think
Yeah.
that blows my mind because I'm like, these kids are getting their own chair, they're ready to sit down, they want to do it. And I think
Yeah.
that's where, like, as you say, like children lead, but the children are leading because as soon as
Hmm.
we say MakaTots, they're like, oh, my chair, I need to go
Hmm.
sit down, because they're just so ready to learn. And I think it's amazing to see
Yeah,
that,
that's a good
especially
way
at
of
a young
looking at it,
age.
actually, leading, because, yeah, because you would think, oh, they're being told what to do to bring their chairs out to get, but actually, the sort of pulling of the chair and tidying up is part of that choice as well. It's a really
Yeah, and I think,
interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, we don't even tell them, to get their chairs or anything. They just, as soon as we say MakaTots is coming in 10 minutes or so, they just get their chairs. That they automatically just know. And I think that's where I'm like, oh, they really want to learn or they really want to listen, because
Hmm.
like, sometimes if we're like, oh, circle time, some of them are like, I'm not doing circle time.
Hmm.
But when we say MakaTots, they're, oh, better get my chair. And I think that's the most important bit, because I'm
Hmm.
like, they all know and they all want to do it. And I think that's the amazing bit in that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think as well, like signing and using our hands in Makaton is connected to us, but it's something external. So in some ways, it feels like, drawing a picture and having a physical piece of paper to show somebody. It still has that same sort of feeling where you get an
Yeah.
instant reaction from showing people something that you're doing, or but also have that instant reaction to yourself as well, being able to feel and see the signing and taking part in all the songs as well.
I think
The
that's the thing as well, because obviously, like, we obviously praise them when they get like a sign or when they
Mhm.
do it, and they use it so much outside of MakaTots. So I think that's where we're like, well done, that is airplane, that's so clever. And we're like, can you remember helicopter? And we
Mhm.
we try to encourage it that way. And I think they're like, oh, like I know it and I did it. And I think that's such a kind of crucial part. But
Mhm.
I know myself, like, I'll come home after MakaTots day and I might FaceTime my mom or I'll speak to my partner and I'll be like, I just learned how to sign giraffe. Like, I am buzzing. And I think that's so wild. Like, I'm 24 and that still amazes me that
Mhm.
I can do it. So they must, I don't know. I think it must be like more for them. I think, but I think it's just
Yeah, I think we
amazing.
all get something out of it, and I feel that as well. And one thing that I definitely feel working with staff and children introducing something new is that everybody in the room, apart from the person that's giving the information, is at the same level. So
Yeah,
it's such a unique time where the children and the staff and the staff and the children know that they are equal and
yeah,
learning something for the first time as well. And I think that's a really special sweet spot to be in, to sort of build this sort of characters and the relationships with the children as well. Do you
yeah.
think that it's something that, like, what does it look like outside of the classroom? You know, families or reporting information home. I know that you've got an app that you post pictures on. Like, what does it look like outside of the that relationships?
So like we post up when we have MakaTots class, we always post up like what we learn and things. And I think a lot of the parents they're also quite intrigued to learn things as well. So, we always try and so if we learn like animals, I always try and put up the photos of the animals we've learned. And I know that we're trying to work on doing like videos of the staff signing so we can post them as well. Um, but I think the way that they use it as well, like, we get some parents that come in and they try and do it at handovers to show you what they've kind
Hmm.
of picked up, and they're trying to do it as well. And I think that's the main part because, yeah, okay, it's great to do it in nursery, but it's also amazing to do it at home because I
Hmm.
think that's where they pick it up even better.
Hmm.
Um, for example, we have a child who's just had a new sibling, and we were in the nappy room and I was like, "Do you have a new baby brother?" And they were just kind of like waving their hands, and I was like, "Oh." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, that's brother."
Hmm.
So it was a sign, and I was like, "That's
That's
just
great. That's so
blows my
good.
mind," because I was just asking, "Do you have a little brother?" And
Hmm.
it was the signing for me, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, she's
That's
not
so cool.
responding to me, but she's signing that she has a
Hmm.
brother. And I just thought, you know what, that's just made my day because
Yeah.
that was brilliant. She didn't even have to communicate with me, but
Hmm.
I just thought that was brilliant to
Yeah.
see that. So I think it does kind of go outside of the nursery as well. They do use it at home, which
Hmm.
which I think is was really good as well.
And yeah, that shows you the effect of learning through play, because we did Brother, we've done that through a song, I think. We were doing like the
Yeah,
elephants, the daddy elephant, mummy elephant, brother
yeah,
elephant a couple of weeks ago.
yeah,
And they were able to link that up with what we did, but not associate it with the song, associate it with their own life and bring
yeah,
it
yeah,
in to their own conversations about their own life, which is so cool.
yeah. I honestly think it's crazy. Like, their brains are just they're so clever, and I know they're only like 1 to 2, and you wouldn't expect some of the things like that, but the way that they pick things up is it's incredible.
Hmm.
Like, they just take it and they run with it. They're so clever, they're so switched on, and you even when you don't think it's a sign, it's just, I know it might not be quite correct, but that just to me was,
Hmm.
I knew what it meant,
Enough.
and because I was aware, I knew what they were doing, which
Hmm.
I think that made it better. Because if I didn't know, I would have just thought, "Oh, they're waving their hands." I don't know. So I
Hmm.
think it was also good for me because I actually knew what they were maybe meaning.
Hmm.
So I think that's also quite a good thing to know as well.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's so nice to see the the kids just randomly using it, and making
yeah,
it part of their day. There's an
yeah,
interesting switch between the two rooms that are on your side of the building, where they come from the baby room into your room, into the 1 and 2 year olds. So they're
yeah,
coming from their baby, the crawling stage, into this is like the first sort of on your feet, sort of big girl, big boy class that they've come
yeah,
into as well. And it's and I found that as well, that transition really quickly, like, oh, okay, it's a completely different way of working. One
oh
week
yeah,
you have to make it really sensory for the babies, and it's a different experience, and then you just automatically give that little bit more autonomy. And
yeah,
the older that the kids get into the other 2 rooms, there's such a vast difference between all of the classes, but it's still all the same material. It's still all facilitated in the same way, but just adding different resources and things into it to make it more child led for the age that you're working with.
yeah. I think like it's amazing to me as well. Like, when obviously, like, when we see you doing it in the babies as well, we're like, okay. And then you come into the head dogs, but even some of the babies who who I wouldn't think have picked it up, they sometimes join us in hedgehogs and they take part and they are doing the signs as well. And I'm
Hmm.
like, well, you're not, some of these aren't even one yet and they're
Hmm.
picking up these signs. And I think to me that blows my mind. And then as soon as they come into hedgehogs, and they're in that little bit older room, as you say, they run with it. They're like, whew, and they pick it up so fast and they just use so many more. And it's only maybe like one or two signs that they pick up. But I think to me that's just wild that they've like had one or two when they're little and now they're just got like all of these little signs that they just
Hmm.
keep learning. And then obviously as you go further up the nursery it does get kind of more apparent that
Yeah.
they know a bit more, but I still think it's crazy that the 1 to 2 year olds know as much as they
Hmm.
do.
Yeah, it's a
um
huge vocabulary as well, and you can cram so many signs and symbols into one song. And,
yeah,
using repeating little bits in different songs in different weeks as well, and sort of layering it up. And when you look at it, you go, oh, actually, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of signs,
yeah,
there's a lot of symbols, there's a lot of new words. And then on top of that, we've got the animal noises. What do the animal noises make, or what do they sound like as well? So there's
yeah,
these layers up just with one thing, which is
yeah,
really, really, really cool. And yeah, it's amazing to hear that it's being used outside the classroom and that it's sort of landing in a really positive way, and it's been a really useful tool to have.
yeah, no, absolutely, definitely has.
So, I mean, you've obviously done trainings and stuff before in your life, and this is a sort of a, a different way of training, I guess, in the terms of Makaton learning for the staff. It's through the same way as the kids.
Yeah,
It feels more sustainable to do it in this way in certain ways. Does it feel like that? Is it a good tool to, does it feel
I
supported from your end to get a sense of what Makaton really is?
yeah, I actually think that I will say I know everyone learns in different ways, and I think some people prefer reading it, and some people prefer watching things like that. But I actually think for me, seeing it the way you teach the kids, I actually remember it a bit better.
Mm,
So I think it was the day we did like the Lion King songs. I would never have thought to assign to those.
mhm,
But I was like, oh, so every time now I hear it, I'm like, oh, I can sign lion and I can sign king. And I think that's where I picked up a bit more. And then like nursery rhymes and all of that. And then we obviously use them daily within the setting as well. So, we're doing like the five little ducks went swimming. And I think we're using it every day, which helps us. So I think it's like visually learning, which I think is
mhm,
probably the best way.
mhm,
Um, and then we can interpret with the kids as well, so we've heard it in a song, so we'll put that song on so the kids can then do it, and I think that's the best way, and you
mhm.
get so much fun out of doing it with them. And even outside of MakaTots, like when we're just in the classroom, we'll be like, oh, we'll put on some music and we'll put maybe Lion King on, and it's so funny to see them just dancing, and then some of them will just sign along, and I think that's where you realize like they're remembering this
Mhm,
and this is how I'm also remembering it, which
mhm,
I'm 24 years old and these kids are 1 to 2 and I'm
mhm.
remembering it through a
Yeah,
song and that's
yeah,
how they're doing it. So I think, it just shows that it doesn't matter how old you are, you're still learning the same thing. And as you
yeah.
said, like we are all learning at the same level.
Mhm,
I had no idea and some of these kids had no idea. And
yeah,
I think that's just the best way to do it. So I think for me that, and for some of the other staff as well, like I think that is the best way to learn
yeah,
because we're still interacting in what we would normally do every day.
yeah.
And I think just the best way.
I think as adults as well, we forget to play, and we're reminded of
Yeah.
that every day. And it can become a little bit, you get desensitized to certain things when you're in roles. And there are days that are hard, but there are days and moments where you go, oh, yeah, like this, stop overcomplicating it. Like, let's put the fun back in, remind us how to play, and just let yourself go on that adventure and be a kid again, And it's so
Yeah.
nice to be reminded of that, but experience it as a practitioner ourselves
Yeah.
as well.
I think that's the thing. Like when you're having a hard day, sometimes it's like, whoa, that this is a hard day, but you'll get through it, and that's the main thing. You'll always get through it. But I think like sometimes if the kids just are kind of running or they're not really focusing on anything in particular, sometimes I will just pop on like some Disney music or anything like that. And I think because they use it in like in MakaTots and there's other kind of places they hear that music, they kind of just know. And I think sometimes it's just nice to just dance with the kids, and I think that kind of makes you switch off a little bit, and you kind of like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm here for. This
Yeah,
is my job.
yeah,
I am dancing with these kids, and we're having a great time, and nobody's watching you, and you can crack out whatever dance moves you want, and the kids just think it's hilarious. And I
hmm
think that's where I'm like, this is going to be a good day now. Like
yeah,
we've unwound, we've just having a great time, and I think that's where some days are hard, and I think that's just where we get to. It's like, okay, you know what? We'll take it back. We'll
yeah,
take out an activity, or we'll just put some music on. We'll just have fun for about 5-10 minutes, see how we are, and then we
get on
can
with it.
like continue what we're doing.
Yeah,
But I think I think that's a good way of doing it as well.
yeah. Yeah, that's a nice way to think about it as well, and a good reminder to, there's times to be stressed and to hit the ground running and get things done, but also like just take a break sometimes and put some music on and have a
Yeah,
little dance and sing some songs and sign along with it as well.
yeah.
And so just to end, there are sort of misconceptions with Makaton and MakaTots in a sense of who is it for, and historically we have this legacy of working with children and adults that have communication difficulties in the Makaton world. But MakaTots is this our effort to now branch out and work with children with and without disabilities and take away that stress of having to think you need to know everything to be able to support a child that's perhaps maybe nonverbal or neurodivergent from where we are now in sort of this sort of MakaTots journey and the lessons that we've had. What does that feel like or look like for you guys at Woodlands now?
Honestly, like MakaTots, I think to me, I obviously would like to learn it for like every purpose. I think everyone should know some part of MakaTots because I think it's so beneficial. Like I see it myself. I'll be like, oh, airplane, and I'll do it without even noticing. And I think that's when you know that it's something so important because you're not having to think about it. You're just knowing what it is straight off the bat. And I think that's where like I would kind of go, oh, like everyone should know this. Like it's not something like, as I said, we learn it every week. So it's not something that it takes you like weeks to study. You just pick them up. And I think, yeah, it's beneficial to the children who need it to communicate, which is absolutely brilliant. The fact that they can actually have full on sentences with signing, it blows my mind because I just think that that's incredible for them.
Yeah.
But I also think like for the children who can communicate, it's still a great way for them to learn. And then if they do come across anyone who uses MakaTots or anything like that, I think it's so important because they might not be able to have like a full on kind of conversation, but they can still sign things and they can still understand and they can still build that friendship and that bond. And I think
Yeah.
that's the most important thing because even though there's maybe something, they can still communicate and they can still be like best of friends by just learning something so simple.
hmm
And I just think that that's, to me, it is just incredible.
Mm.
Like I just think having a conversation with someone who can't communicate with you would just be like, I don't know, but it
hmm
also makes them feel included as well. And that's the thing as well, like you wouldn't ever want someone to feel like not part of things. And I
Yeah.
think for me that's where I'm like, everyone's a part of this, so it's a
hmm
good thing for everyone to know, even a little bit, just something that you can know, even like hello, how are you.
Yeah.
It's just something so small, but it makes such a big difference
Yeah.
to some other people.
Yeah.
And I
It
think
does.
that's where I kind of stand
hmm
there.
Yeah. Yeah. The difference between not knowing how to communicate with somebody outside of speech is not communicating at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That feels like a good place to end. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. I love my Thursday morning with you all. What day is it today? It's Monday, so we've got a few more days and we'll be
We do.
back in the room on Thursday. Okay, so I like to finish each episode with a nursery rhyme or a poem or a song or something that we can share with the audience. What have you chosen? And tell us why, and we'll learn all the signs.
So I've chosen the nursery rhyme slash song. So it's Three Little Men, a Flying Saucer. Um, I think the children love this song, so we sing it pretty much every day in the nursery. And I think for me, it's something that I can learn and I can also take back and show all the other staff as well. And I think that's probably something that's quite good, and I think the children will enjoy that as well. So yeah, that's why I've chosen that one because it's
Fab.
more of a children favorite.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it will be in the world once this episode goes up, and we'll show how fantastic all the other staff and kids are at Woodlands.